Once you grasp this truth that I'm about to tell you, it'll set you free from religion. It'll set you free from parents and moms and family and governments and police, everybody. It'll set you free. And it's simply this: you are divine. God has exploded in a Crab Nebulae explosion, and he has come and manifested himself as billions of people. And you're one of you, and so am I. When I look at you, I see God. When you look at me, you see God. That's why God's name is I am. I am God. It doesn't mean that me, God. It means I am. When you say I am God, you have to say, what is God's name? I am. What? I am God. Oh my God, then all the people, Christians run around, oh, I told you they think they're God. I don't think anything on the side. No, Jesus Christ said, the scripture says you are God, and the scripture cannot be broken. So he said it.
Yeah, like I'm not third album.
Peace, family. How you all doing? I hope all is well with you. Today, we're going to be talking about Jupiter and entering into Gemini. Starting on May 25th to June 9th. The signs that will feel this the most are Gemini, Sagittarius, and Pisces, but everybody has Gemini somewhere in their chart. And this is the area where you might see a lot of these changes happening for you specifically. Jupiter is the king of all gods, Zeus in mythology, and God, outside of Pisces. Jupiter is actually the ancient ruler of Pisces, and so there are going to be some Pisces themes that need to be taken into consideration with this transit that we'll talk about over time, but for now, we'll just focus on this. But it's the king of all gods. This is spiritual law. Your doing the right thing, making the right choice. This is federal law, like legislation, and a lot of the debates that we're seeing on the news right now between legislators and lawmakers. This could also be biblical. It'll have to do a lot with the Bible. I can only imagine how many debates we're going to have about that. And preachers, churches, and spiritual gurus and gurus in general, mentors. This could also be your morals, beliefs, and ethics. So we're talking about philosophy and culture here. We can definitely see a lot of things and debates around culture. This could also be travel, specifically long distance travel, like outside of the country, other countries, borders, and import and export from other countries. Jupiter expands everything that it touches, and Gemini is a dual energy, so it's going to be a lot. It might be very overwhelming around all these topics. This could be teachers, professors, because Jupiter rules higher education, like colleges and universities. And this could also be growth, support, optimism, protection, and abundance. When I was thinking about this, I was watching something that kind of triggered this thought where this guy was talking about how a lot of the churches and things of that nature today don't represent, the true meaning of what it means to be, you know, um, a religious or spiritual person, that it's more focused on like flash and getting people to worship the preacher as opposed to teaching real morals and ethics. He went further into talking about how back in like the 60s and 70s, churches actually taught classes like cooking classes and like proper etiquette, like how to dress properly. And you could see more mixtures of other religions, like Jehovah Witness, where they would actually go out in the community and engage with the community and get them to come to church or be a leader or show up as an example. Um, and I think we can see a lot of conversations about the disconnect that we're seeing now and how that's being operated. Um, but I think the baseline of it that I was pulling from it was um, we could have a real opportunity in learning our morals, ethics, and beliefs that becomes some kind of abundance. That's like the first line of you creating wealth for yourself, having strong values, morals, ethics, beliefs. It gives you currency and what that really means and having that conversation on a deeper level. It's also wisdom, um, your life experiences, and really talking about those and sharing those with other people. Um, I'm really, really excited for this transit. I can't wait to see how it all plays out. But Jupiter wants to bring in support, resources. It's an invitation to change something or see something from a bigger perspective. It's a little easier. Um, it's development. This is going to help you break from any perceived limitations, especially mental limitations, because it's in Gemini, and Gemini rules the mind, how we learn, how we speak, our immediate environment, childhood education. So we're talking about your peers, things you did in school, your childhood in general, your childhood passions. Um, it's going to be real interesting having that conversation. This could be anything to do with like siblings, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, cousins. So there could be a lot of back and forth and communication with those people in your life. Um, this could be like a lot of grassroots things taking place here in the community to build the community up, especially if we're having trouble with borders and getting resources from other countries. So if you think about all the things that we get from other countries with this thing going on with BRICS, I definitely think we're going to see a lot of changes in the dollar, and how we spend our money or where we spend our money. That could lead to a lot of grassroots projects being started by others who have these skills that we don't really need to be uh, looking outside of the country for anyways, and that might give people who have those skills the ability to start their own business, put themselves out there to the community, and provide whatever that resource is. This could definitely be about farming and fruits and vegetables and other things like that. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good opportunity to build America up in a very, very different way. Um, this could be about what you enjoy, what you don't want, what we're not interested in, the things that really form who you're going to be. And so we can see things we didn't see before in very, very, very different ways. This could also be details, facts, documents, paperwork, um, running errands, anything to do with mail, um, social media, apps, um, anything we do with our hands. Um, this could also be hands-on education. So I think of like um, trades like cosmetology, construction, some learning like an actual skill that leads to some kind of you know uh self-made energy where you can become your own business, or again just have something to offer or provide to others, ready-made. As soon as you graduate you can get started. um this could also be how things work, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury likes to break things apart and then put the pieces back together. So this could be like instruments. This could be um, appliances, electronics, um, things like that. This is definitely information, definitions, learning, reading, writing, studying, and math. When Pluto and Aquarius trines this transit, math and science are going to become major, major, major topics, especially in childhood education. Curiosity, walking, running, your arms and legs, your vehicle, cars, short distance travel. A lot of these topics are going to come up in pretty big ways. Gemini also rules duality, having to learn things twice, observation, absorbing the information and then being able to speak about it. Um, as you all know, Gemini is ruled by the twins, Castor and Pollux. And if you know the mythology behind the twins is they're brothers, and they were in battle. And one brother is mortal and the other one's immortal. The mortal one got injured, he died, he had to go to hell. And in order for so his mortal brother tried to negotiate um, for his brother not to die. And, that wasn't an option. And he said, well, can I still see my brother or be connected with my brother? And so the immortal brother has access to the underworld to go visit his brother. And what he does is bring messages, knowledge, and information from the underworld, which is just your darker side, your lower side. This is why Gemini usually represents the devil and the angel and all those kinds of um, things that are usually connected and related to Gemini energy, the magician, two-faced, trickster, even comedians in some way play devil's advocate, I think, or it's a play on words and things of that nature. But essentially, Gemini is the messenger. He brings messages and information, knowledge from the underworld to the 3D. And so ideas and information, knowledge, education, literacy, um, intellects, these things are going to be huge, huge themes that are going to be changing and forming in our lives in very, very different ways at this time, despite the negative connotation of being the trickster. It's mocking, imitating the minds, even, um, you know, the real purpose of that ability is about being adaptable, flexible, and saying things that most people might not want to hear. You know, if you think about your children at very young ages, they just say the darndest things. It's like, we're in public. Seriously, did you have to say that out loud? You know? But it's a learning process, a way to understand. They absorb information from the environment that they're in, and this is their way of acting it out. This is the hands-on education, just to learn and essentially become who they're meant to be as an adult. And so I think this is going to give us the opportunity to really look back at who we were when we was kids. What did we want to be? And are we actually achieving that today? And why not? And how we get back to that childhood passion or some kind of childlike behavior or just simply having fun, being social, um, and enjoying that process again freely without you know, a lot of what we got now is imposter syndrome, especially with the North Node and being in Aries and the Chiron conjunction, where we're really trying to figure out who we are. Aries is about the self and being who you are with courage and fire and initiative, assertiveness. And I think a lot of the things that are going to come up are questions around that, you know. And so the imposter syndrome is you know, being shy, not saying what you want, um, doing things, creative things, things that you're really good at, but why haven't you shared it? Getting the courage and passion again to want to share some of the things that you might have been working a lot on behind the scenes or internally, and let that stuff come out without worrying about what people are going to say about you, if they're going to judge you, if they're going to, um, you know, sort of uh, not like what you say, or um, maybe it's you that you feel like what you say isn't important. Like these challenges are going to come up about who we are meant to be moving into this North Node Aries energy. Um, I remember I was taking a class. I don't remember what class it was that I took. I know it was a psychology class, and we had to write a paper on our childhood and what we remembered about that, and then get in front of the class. That's probably why I can't remember the class, because I'm traumatized that if we had to share our story in front of the whole freaking class, it was mortifying. But I remembered writing that paper and really, 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 really thinking about what I remembered about myself as a young child, and remember reflecting on what came up out of that and how I was at that moment in time. Even now, today, I can say it's still very true. I am literally the same person. It's both terrifying and hilarious at the same time. And so these are a lot of things that could be coming up for people. Like you realize, I'm like, damn, I really haven't changed. You know, your core self is who you are. And then it just becomes about learning how to be comfortable with who you are and what those things are. There's also an ability to grow and evolve if there's something that you don't like, or it's just the next level of that, right? By adding some kind of education, knowledge, training, to grow and evolve from your base core self into something more empowering, or becoming a leader or an example in some kind of way. Um, and so Jupiter says you have to learn more, grow more, expand beyond what you have learned. And this can feel scattering, overwhelming. You could be asking yourself, what do I focus on? What do I choose? And Gemini says, write it down, put things on the calendar, make a list, and the rest will work itself out. What I love about this energy is that Mercury is probably one of the most planets that goes retrograde. I think it's like 3 times a year. And you're going to get the chance to not only is this a whole year transit, but even with the Mercury retrograde, you're always going to get a chance to have this like experimental process of whatever this is that you're learning about yourself, growing and expanding, even releasing and letting go of some things that are just like that no longer, resonates with me, changing and transforming that into other things. And trying it on. It's like trial periods, a lot of trial periods during the Mercury retrogrades that allows you to do something over again. Um, and I think that's a beautiful process. And this is the perfect energy to have that in because Jupiter, again, is protection and it's going to expand your wealth of knowledge and whatever this is that you're learning, not to mention um, Mercury moved into Taurus and this week, I believe. And Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. We'll talk about that a little more in a minute. But um, I think what's so beautiful about that is that Mercury is manifest in physical form. And so you're going to see these things right away as you're working on them. The downside to that is that you could be stuck in your ways, and you could miss out on opportunities due to being stubborn and not wanting to change. Although I feel like having had gone through Taurus season and Uranus being in Taurus, Jupiter just is coming out of Taurus. And then we had the new moon in Taurus. I do think a lot of people are learning from those lower expressions of Taurus to change, fix, and transform those lower expressions. And the abundance of that is going to grow and form into something new. I think what's going to be highlighted is, oh shit, I am stubborn. Oh shit, I have been doing this for this many years. How can I change it? Either way, however this is playing out for you, you got a whole year of opportunities to grow something in physical form, and make it a habit. And it's going to bring you some kind of wealth and abundance. Um, Now, obviously, Mercury isn't going to stay in Taurus this entire transit, but whenever you have a planet move into a different sign, it usually holds throughout that sign the first energy that it reacts with within that first week. And so I like that for this transit a lot, a lot. um, I think another thing to bring up is that some of the baseline um, things that this is going to grow and bring up is the fact that um, we can't talk about children without talking about parenting. I know. It's going to be some real in your face kind of realizations about the environment your kids are in and what they're learning. We're going to have a whole bunch of topics, not like we don't already, but again, it's going to be so in your face that you can't ignore. It's going to force you to change it in some kind of way, address it, talk about it, communicate about it, and in a way that's going to leave a mark. And so what kind of things do you do on a regular basis that your kids are picking up? Is it healthy? Is it helping them grow and evolve? Is it challenging them to be their authentic self, own themselves, their quirky sides, their playful sides? And how are you helping that grow and evolve until adulthood? Um, and as we know, we're growing up with single family homes, um, a lot more than not everybody. But these are definitely going to be some things that come up because of this. Um, and the lack of time that we have to really address a lot of the issues going on with the children, due to parents have to work, right? And then, you're left to send your children to school. And what are the schools teaching you? Are they on the same moral and ethical grounds? Do you even want them learning what the schools are teaching them? What are they teaching them? Is it really helping them? I was watching another show. Y'all know me. Okay. I be watching a lot of shit. And so they was talking about the education system and how we as parents think, no, if that wasn't it. It was the name of the video. It's like your kids are not as smart as you think they are. And I was like, oh damn, what does that mean? So I'm watching the video and I'm listening to them have this conversation about, the schools are going through the same thing. The parents are, the classes are overloaded, teachers are underpaid. They're not really teaching them real, true skills. Never mind real, true skills, but systematically they're teaching them to be consumers, and as opposed to, again, focusing on self-building, self um love, self-worth, all these kinds of things. It's like to obey in society. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's a level of that needs to be understood, but I don't think that's what kids should be going to school to learn for fucking 12 years of their life, because now they're conditioned, and they're getting all this knowledge and education from the school and coming home to you like, well, you don't do this and you don't do that and blah 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 blah, and it's not true. And so I feel like the school system should be more catered to what the parent wants them to learn, and having individualized plans based around what the parents want their kids to learn. And I think a lot of those conversations are going to come up. I think a lot of schools are going to change how they work and operate. I think there's even a possibility for home education to become way more popular as opposed to sending your kids to school. I think the scheduling for school is too much, especially learning the same thing over and over again. I think they should be learning some of the stuff that they don't learn until 12th grade earlier. And so, kind of, we're going to see a bunch of different debates and issues that work around these things, that address these issues. How can we do them better? Looking to other countries to see what they're doing. Can we incorporate that in our systems? And a lot of those kinds of things are going to come up, which might means there's going to be a need for sacrifice. If the schools don't shut down, it might happen in specific locations, but it'll be really interesting to see the outcomes of that, and kind of challenging the disparity within that whole system. And I think it kind of teaches children to go against the parent and not see the worth of the parent and what the parent is learning. I mean, this could be another way this can come up is in the single family home, is that, again, this was done systematically, and how we got here with single parent homes in the first place was the separation of, the Black family. And I've talked about that thousands of times on here, which would mean that we'd have to talk about us coming together as parents and co-parenting and what that looks like, and being more mature about it for the sake of the child and the betterment of the child. And that's a sacrifice there that needs to be made. Another sacrifice is, again, that your mom is your first teacher. And so are women gonna stop working and take that sacrifice to teach their children their core values, the basic values that they want them to know before they get out into the world, these kinds of conversations are going to be huge. They're going to come up in pretty big ways. Um, and it'll be interesting to see that. We could see more dad moms, right? Stay-at-home dads too, because that's been something that's been changing a lot since they don't get a lot of opportunities to work anyway. Um, and so that could be another way that this flips around too. I can't wait to see the outcome. That's all I'm saying. All right. It's going to be interesting. Um, but yeah, so we can hear all these kinds of topics coming up through Gemini themes. These are newsletters, emails, meetings, community discussions, media, newspaper, news channels, television, streaming. I even think music is going to have a pretty big role, especially with Mercury being in Venus, whether it's hip hop. Um, and going back to the whole, Kendrick and Drake thing and bringing that up and how we learned through music and how that whole debacle was really just a distraction so that they can pass some laws and legislations without you knowing. You're gonna find out. You finna find out um, what all that stuff was and all these things that are going to be changing that they're implementing to, continue to keep you down and uh that whole storyline. But we're learning through music. What are we learning through hip hop and R&B and these songs that we listen to on the radio? I even think there's a systematic play going on there. I can't remember what it was I was watching, but I was watching something that was like they pay people to call in to get certain songs played over and over again on the radio. It's not necessarily even that people actually genuinely enjoy listening to half of those songs that come on 90% of the time. People are being paid to do that, to make it operate that way. So we're talking about algorithms, social media manipulation, and how they're getting into the minds of our children. They are systematically trying to get our children to go against what we might be teaching again at home, in the home. And we can hear a lot of stuff about that coming out more blatantly in your face as something that's going to make you change the way you think about what you do on a regular basis, or how you teach your children, or what you allow them to watch and listen to, etc., etc. Right? I think this is good. These are going to be some really, really, really big topics. What else? Of course, we have to look at Mercury, like I was saying, because Mercury's ruled by Gemini, or Mercury rules Gemini rather. And because it's in Taurus, again, we have an amazing opportunity to change some of the way we deal with money, work, asking for pay raises, your wealth, um, asking for what you're worth. So there could be a lot of changing of jobs. Again, there's something about a sacrifice here. I haven't been really in tune with the astrology because I got a lot going on right now. But I am almost positive that when this transit starts squaring Pisces energy, that these kinds of topics of like loss, loss of job, loss of uh, just feeling like loss or lack of direction, not really knowing where to go, but essentially having to make some kind of sacrifice to build yourself up. The beautiful thing about being at the bottom, no matter how that looks for you, is there's only one way you can go from there, and that's up. And so now that, all the planets are direct and they're a little bit more stronger, more assertive, more action oriented placements, people can start coming up with more plans on how to address loss, lack, and get direction, whether that's through a mentor, teacher, or taking some kind of class. I also think that this is really good for watering your goals. Pisces is a water sign, and Taurus is an earth sign. Watering that, even though it's a square, it's gonna be ugly. It's gonna feel real, but it's water. It's watering your goals and giving it the opportunity to grow into something more. And so the strain from somebody losing a job is going to push you more into um, taking your goals by the balls and being like, I'm not going to allow this to get me down or keep me down. I'm going to do what I need to do to work on those things. If you go back to the Aries eclipse video that I did, I talked about this. And I like this aspect because now we're getting to learn more about what it is, what our goals are, and really being assertive and intentional about working towards those goals. But it is going to come through some kind of strain, depression, um, uh, maybe even having to be more frugal, spending less, changing your eating habits, your diet. Um, I mean, this could be health issues and, fighting back. Like, I'm not going to let this situation be it might be my current situation, but it is not the situation for my long-term goals, and fight back and start to work towards getting healthier, better, even letting go of addictions and um, overspending, the flashiness, and doing things that are more moral and ethical. Like, I don't fucking know. Whatever. Maybe this is not dressing trashy and more natural and stuff like that. Whatever your morals and ethics are, if you feel like you're living below that kind of those means, is that, or it could just simply be wealth building, legacy building, and planning for the long term. Again, this is somebody who's like, um, this is my 5-year plan or my 10-year plan, and taking intentional steps to build whatever that is. Everybody's going to be like at different places with this. It really depends on where this is happening in your chart, and what you care about and what you don't care about, but I'm just trying to think of the different topics to give you some kind of idea of how this stuff could be playing out in your day-to-day life. But either way, I like it because, again, it's going to manifest in physical form. You're going to Taurus is your 5 senses: touch, see, feel. It's going to be in your hands, or something physical that you're building: a home, a garden, a farm, art, um, you know. Um, so yeah, I like it. Um, and so Mercury rules logic, learning, intelligence, your intellect. So this is like a lot of talking and explaining the track and history of anything, but I'm almost positive this is going to have a lot more to do with education, um, and how that connects to, the problems in education, or what's working, what's not working, and finding simple ways to address and change those things. Again, comparing education to other countries, and what can we bring in and use from what we're learning from that, or anybody in general. It doesn't just have to be other countries, but what are other school systems doing that are better than other school systems, and why is that, and how can we change that for all systems? Is it going to become a one system thing? Definitely no child left behind policies and prison to pipeline. All these kinds of things here are going to be assessed, talked about, debated. Hopefully, more than even those things, it's going to be about addressing the problems and coming up with solutions and then actually making changes. This is going to be global issues, global data and information, um, your daily life, what you do, who you talk to, what kind of books do you read, these types of things, childhood memories, learning how to be adaptable, flexible, multitasking, multi-talented, and figuring out what your many, many, many skills are. Because I can only imagine this is going to bring up a whole bunch of skills that you have that, be careful, because the downside of this is that, unfortunately, Gemini is not happy. Jupiter is not happy in Gemini. It's in detriment, meaning it's in its opposite sign. And so that's why I think the turmoil is going to come up first. It's going to be a problem, right? There's going to be a lot more problems than there are going to be solutions in the beginning, especially with the squares to Pisces. And then it's going to trine Pluto, which gets really fucking sadistic. And we're going to hear about all the monstrosities that are happening in school with guns and abuse and trauma from teachers and fatigue and again, that feeling of being stretched too thin because you have to do this, that, and you can't really feel who, like they say no child left behind, but the way our lives are operated, they are literally being left behind, and it's starting to show, right? We could have a lot more kids acting out and saying they're not going to school. And these kinds of crazy things. This could even be not just the prison to pipeline, but the lack of good education and parenting, and how that leads kids to being in the streets in your neighborhoods and your communities, and who the hell is teaching them and what are they learning from them, and other parents and friends and things like that, learning bad habits. What bad habits are they getting from that? Skipping school, yeah, all that. um, I think it's gonna lead to a bigger conversation about gang activity for sure. There's no doubt in my mind. Um, and the programs we used to have that were out there for kids that we don't even freaking exist anymore. Why is that? Is there something as a community we could do to change that? Where can we send them? How can we help these kids get back on track? It's not going to be easy. We got a very long battle ahead of us with this, but I can assure you these are going to be issues that are going to come up in very, very big ways. That is going to require a sacrifice if we want to fix it. Something's going to have to be put on hold to address the immediate issues so that you can flourish and grow from whatever these blockages are for the sake of the children. Oh boy. Oh boy. And so there could be a lot of talk about, how your childhood was. I was thinking about when I was writing this, is like the little sayings and stuff from my era. I'm 40, I'll be 42 this year, and thinking about being raised from my mom and what were some of the things that she said. This is like kids should be heard, not seen, or um, stay in a child's place. Those little things that, how did those behaviors and things get us to where we're at now, and how that's affected our future. I was having a conversation with somebody, and they brought up such a good point about in the workplace, how people stay in these jobs for years and years and years at a time, over time, and knowing that the job sucks, like what is it that makes a person stay somewhere where they're not happy, and then there's nothing to show for it. I can see if you're sacrificing staying at a job 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years, and you're getting something from that. We don't have, that is not even a thing. There's no doubt in my mind that things like Social Security and these types of conversations are gonna come up from this. Like, what is the purpose of that? And when I was thinking about it, I was like, it really kind of reminds me of my mom. Don't judge me, guys. Y'all know I'd be all over the place, but work with me here. I feel like if I think about my mom's generation, that they sacrificed staying in relationships for long periods of times, 30, 40, 50 years, to um so like the kids can have a mother and father in home, despite whether or not the relationship was healthy. Again, I'm not entirely sure. I'm not here to say whether or not it's good or bad, but what kind of effect has that had on the children? I think about it now, and I think about our generation. If it was working, if it was healthy, if it was worth it, why are so many of us in single homes today? Why can't we just get it together? Why aren't we in relationships anymore? Why do people not want to have children anymore? Like, just looking back and assessing parenting and what that was before and what it is now, how it led to that, and just really understanding that dynamic to a point of like, how can we move forward and do better? Yeah, so this is going to be very interesting. Like I said, I'm interested in seeing how this goes, but essentially, with the downside to this is like too much of all of Gemini themes and getting overwhelmed with too much information. Um, um, Having a sense of humor and not taking things seriously. This could be good for problem solving, being assertive, bold, and passionate when you're writing, speaking, texting, having some kind of charm, um, and humor to go with that. Um, this could be endless curiosity or becoming the eternal student, questioning everything. Learning new skills and languages of all kinds. Be careful for fear of missing out. Short attention span, ADD, is it ADHD or ADD is fucking real. We could be jumping from one subject to another subject, jumping from project to project, from relationship to relationship without completing things. I think we're going to have the ability to expand our mind through open conversation and comprehension, especially things around culture, learning how to translate that. And again, coming up with practical action steps, hands-on learning, again, mixed with some kind of book learning, which is just trade. It's really trade, any kind of trade training. Um, um, Spreading yourself too thin, having a wide variety of interests and possibilities. Jupiter wants us to explore the truth from all different angles. And with Gemini, you're going to have plenty of angles. It's going to be exhausting. This is how intelligent we are, how resourceful we are. We might want to write a book or study something, become a historian or economist. Is that what you would call somebody who studies economics? um, it's not just about talking, it's about listening, seeing good financial opportunities, expanding your vibration, or get to a higher vibration, or again, this could be a graduation that's getting you to the next level. It's definitely going to be about celebrations for sure. Some kind of some milestone with Jupiter and Taurus ending, moving into a new sign, that's some kind of celebration, gratitude, or something that people are going to be grateful for, and celebrating that in a really big way with family and things of that nature, or friends or whatever. Some kind of milestone, or again, like I was talking about in the last video, like a coming of age, somebody stepping up, growing and evolving into a bigger stage, going on a new journey, a new adventure, um, without knowing what it's going to be like. Having the curiosity and excitement of Gemini is just, I mean, you couldn't really ask for a better time for this to be happening. I mean, the lineup is fucking solid. Like, you're going to get something out of this experience that's just going to blow your mind. And you're not, whatever you're thinking, the possibilities are right now, they're going to expand tenfold in a way that you're gonna think back to this time like, I would have never thought that I'd be doing this shit right here. That kind of energy. Um, Being more social, sharing your knowledge with others, asking questions, getting bored easily, lack of focus. It's story of my life. I'm telling you, these things resonate heavy. I take mini naps, guys. Um, we might start using a lot of slang or more of the SMH. Those things could grow and evolve. Even like your telephone etiquette can devolve in some kind of way. We stop saying, hi, hello, this is, how are you doing? I'm calling for. It's just like, what are you doing? It could get worse than that because I feel like it is already. What are you doing? On who you're talking to or whatever, but something about that could be changing in a really big way. um what else? This shit's funny to me. Oh, um so instead of being a jack of all trades, focus on one thing and doing that really well. I do caution around this idea of that, because as children, again, children are extremely talented. And so this is why I like to talk about the idea of trade. In fact, I'm going to stop saying trade and say vocation. If anybody's ever been to a vocational school, your first year of vocational school, you try on everything to see what it is you like. Remember, well, this is a trial period. Again, depending on where you're at, right? And so you might hear a lot of people say, don't be a jack of all trades and a master of none. And this is very true. I'm not going to deny that that's a possibility. However, if you are in the beginning stages of learning something new, this is the best attitude to have, is to try on many different things and play with many different ideas, possibilities, and how those things fit to you. If you're walking into a new something, you don't want to limit yourself to a box, because I think that's kind of like repeating history. It's redundant. And we need more free space for that to be done. I think that might even be a better way to have that conversation, is, again, where is um the opportunities to do those things, the different platforms to learn different things, short-term classes, or just to try something on for size. Like, I wonder if I would really like that, um it would be nice to try to see, type of thing. And so this could be something else that comes up in a major way. um but yeah, so just know where you're at, know yourself and what you need. Just know, if you do get overwhelmed and things start to be bombarded, to trust the fact that if you're if you're like finding yourself interested 1 minute and then not interested the next, you're not really interested. You've seen enough, you've heard what you heard, and you're like, okay. Um, and accept that and keep it pushing. Like, trust your intuition, trust your curiosity, trust whatever it is that is overwhelming you in whatever kind of way, assessing what else you got going on to make sure you're not overwhelmed by it, whatever that it is that you're interested in. Is it life, or is it, I'm really just not that interested, and being honest about that, moving on to the next, right? This could also be like peace mail, where what's the best way to describe this? Um, where you might like certain aspects of things, but not the entirety of it. So this could come up in a question of business, entrepreneurs, and that whole process it takes to run a business, because Sagittarius also rules, websites, web design, public service announcements, um, um, broadcasting, publishing, um, public speaking, and promotions. That's what I was really trying to get to, the promoting piece, right? And so there are certain parts, especially if you're just starting out, you might not really have the capital to expand and have people come in and help you with your business and these kinds of things here. And so you'll learn, because you are a sole proprietor of your business, there are aspects about that business that you just don't like, right? And write those things down. Start making a plan or a budget around building so that you can outsource for that specific thing that you're just like, you know what? You're going to learn it just enough that's going to get you by until you can get your budget in place to get somebody else to come in and do it for you, right? There's that idea also too, that these topics could be coming up in pretty big, expansive ways. Is probably really going to be more annoying than anything, but it's going back to a sacrifice. Long term is going to get you to where you're really trying to go, and you won't regret it. I said asking questions, boy, answer. Okay. And so we might start, yeah, I said that. Let me get back on track, guys. Um, yeah, I said that. Mhm. And so we might struggle with seeing the bigger picture, or struggle with focusing on the small details. I think taking notes is probably your best bet to help you with this. Don't force yourself to have an answer right away. Sit with it, break up the minutia of the expectations you want to get out of whatever this process is for you. Go for a walk. Again, taking naps. I take many naps. Okay, guys? And then come back to it. You don't have to have it done all in one day. So this is really going to be about, having a plan, and again, writing things out on your calendar, lists of things, and those things are going to be very, very important, not just for any in particular one person, but I think overall, in general. You might forget to do some shit. If you don't write it down, you might be so filled with ideas, you don't know where to start. It's like, breathe, breathe. Um, um, but yeah, uh, this could lead to people asking more questions, like saying why, how, explain it to me. What does this mean? And so this is going to be a deeper dive to understand language, again, culture, philosophy, education, communication, technology, writing. This could even be like handcrafting or handmade things, problem solving, and yeah. On a global level, this can manifest as changes in society around new social media platforms, new communication, um, new ways of communication, shifts in value. We can see a lot of collaborations and again, community building, um, um, learning two sides of things, learning how to disagree, getting to know your community and neighbors. They could get a little innovative with town hall meetings and stuff. I don't know how much I really believe or care too much when you start including and incorporating the system. I just don't fuck with these people. But that's just me and my personal opinion. I think a lot of these things could be done individually. We just have to get out of our head of thinking like we can't do it without uh the system, which is it's not true. It's just not true. We do not need them to make a lot of these small little changes. But that's just me. So take that for what it's worth. Um, um, I think the mailing system can change, especially if they change the currency. There could be some issues going on with that. Um, that could cause some problems because I think in other countries now, there a lot of them are switching to digital banks, and so I'm not entirely sure, how that's gonna work. Like, say you order something from China on Amazon, but China's digital currency now, but you have dollars. I think there could be some like laws that change around being able to even do business with them. There could be questions of whether or not they're taking the dollar and change it into digital. That's gonna make it us here in America eventually having to change to digital in order to do business with other countries. There's something about that is going to be pretty big. So mailing, shipping, credit cards, um, website, trade, commerce, um, those things are just something's going to happen really big with that. I can't say what it is going to be, but it'll be extremely interesting. Um, yeah, there could be a lot more teams and partnerships, cultural differences, foreign matters, diversity. Oh, diversity. Oh, diversity. That's going to be a really big question. Should we mix and mingle with other races? Does it devalue our values and morals and ethics and who we are as a culture of people? Culture. This is going to be um, really in your face debates and topics of things. Something really big could happen too. Or somebody says something who's like in the public eye that can really like set people off and start some kind of fucking trend or something that I don't think I really give a shit about, to be honest with you. But these topics are going to be heavy. Um, how should you date outside of your race, and all this other kind of crap. Um, I talked about that. Public transportation changes, censorship, surveillance, um, dual citizenship. Yes, because Jupiter rules the airline systems and travel, so documents and papers around immigration and traveling, the passport, the ID. These things, there could be some major changes around this stuff. Um, major changes with airlines. There could be some kind of requirement or shift to change from, cars to riding bikes. Um, or you can only do like certain trips at a time. A lot of this energy is relative to COVID. Again, I know I haven't been on here doing a lot of talk, because there's a lot of other transits that are going on right now that um that's making these other things come up, where there's some kind of restriction that they might require try to take away from us. It could just naturally be that people don't want to drive. People might want to be more active, riding, walking. Um, these things might be of more interest to people. But I'm pretty sure law and legislation is going to have a bigger role in playing with whatever that goes on, if it's something major. Spirituality could change. You could change from spiritual to religious. Um, this could be the Oculus headset being some headlines or something around this, anything digital. Journalism could get their kicks back. I actually see this as being really good for people who are in journalism, a great opportunity, because people need truth. And so again, it's really going to be about people who have been silent or have these kind of skills or knowledge or information, getting yourself out there and sharing the truth. Tell the truth. Um, I think I've already talked about the algorithm, and they might make it harder for people to find things on social media. Um, um, mm, yeah, I got a lot here, but I feel like I covered it. I feel like I've been on here long enough. It's at least been an hour. I can put this stuff in a post on IG too. But yeah, it's a lot going on, family. As usual, astrology never disappoints. But yeah, it's gonna be a really dope transit. But as usual, family, I love and appreciate you. I hope you found this information helpful. Peace.